Hi, I'm Karthik Rannan. I'm the president of the Wall Street Club of BITS Pilani Hyderabad campus. Yes, so the collaboration with XLR was an excellent one. We conducted a Power BI workshop with Advanced Excel over a span of 3 days. The workshop was almost 12 hours long in total. Mr. Karthik, who was an amazing trainer, helped the students understand the concepts deeply. I am sure that the students will be able to apply these concepts in their careers as well as their daily lives while they try to navigate the world of finance. I am happy that we will be able to close this workshop successfully on a very good note.
Hi, I am Raghunendra Singh and I am the Technical Director of the Wall Street Club at BITS Pilani Hyderabad campus. It was a great amazing conducting this workshop with XLR. The trainer, Mr. Karthik, was an excellent person where he explained in very detailed manner on how to give great insights using very complex data sets, which was very helpful for the people who are interested in the field of finance, business or analytics in general. Thank you.
I attended a workshop conducted by CSA and ACM in collaboration with XLR. So it was a machine learning workshop. We learned a lot from the course and it was a great experience attending the workshop.
The trainer was very helpful. He had a hands-on approach with his teaching and it was fabulous.
This was a great experience for me. So I would absolutely love it if XLR and its team would come again to our campus and conduct more events like this.
The journey was great. Initially, I thought that I was not proficient enough in Excel, but later I came to know there was no prerequisites for it, and then I applied for it, and it was a great course, and it started from basics and took me to a great extent.
Good evening, myself Kavya Ganatra. I am from Computer Science Association. I was the POC for this ML workshop conducted by CSA and ACM in collaboration with XLR. The experience of the workshop was really nice. The feedback from all the students was positive. They understood the concept. The workshop was also practical based with some questions. The experience with XLR was very smooth. They helped us in conducting the workshop smoothly right from the booking of the vendor and deciding the course till the distribution of certificates. In overall, this workshop was a success during our technical fest Atmos, and I thank XLR for being a part of it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karthik Rannan. I'm the president of the Wall Street Club of BITS Pilani Hyderabad campus. Yes, so the collaboration with XLR was an excellent one. We conducted a Power BI workshop with advanced Excel over a span of 3 days. The workshop was almost 12 hours long in total. Mr. Karthik, who was an amazing trainer, helped students understand the concepts deeply. I am sure that the students will be able to apply these concepts in their careers as well as their daily lives while they try to navigate the world of finance. I am happy that we will be able to close this workshop successfully on a very good note.
Hi, I am Raghunendra Singh and I am the technical director of the Wall Street Club at BITS Pilani Hyderabad campus. It was a great amazing conducting this workshop with XLR. The trainer, Mr. Karthik, was an excellent person where he explained in very detailed manner on how to give great insights using very complex data sets, which was very helpful for the people who are interested in the field of finance, business or analytics in general. Thank you.
I attended a workshop conducted by CSA and ACM in collaboration with XLR. So it was a machine learning workshop. We learned a lot from the course and it was a great experience attending the workshop.
The trainer was very helpful. He had a hands-on approach with his teaching and it was fabulous.
This was a great experience for me. So I would absolutely love it if XLR and its team would come again to our campus and conduct more events like this.
The journey was great. Initially, I thought that I was not proficient enough in Excel, but later I came to know there was no prerequisites for it, and then I applied for it, and it was a great course, and it started from basics and took me to a great extent.
Good evening, myself Kavya Ganatra. I am from Computer Science Association. I was the POC for this ML workshop conducted by CSA and ACM in collaboration with XLR. The experience of the workshop was really nice. The feedback from all the students was positive. They understood the concept. The workshop was also practical based with some questions. The experience with XLR was very smooth. They helped us in conducting the workshop smoothly.
Good evening, everyone. I think we just waited for participants. I think we are good to start from now. So I hope I'm audible to everyone, right? So yesterday we just had one introduction and overview, and we try to have some tools that's being tried to practiced within the console, and that's nothing but AWS Beanstalk, right? Any doubts on the previous sessions or the last sessions, or any queries we can discuss before we start? Any doubts from the previous sessions? So today we're gonna work on some other tools related to the coding, where it will be beneficial for developers to automate the infrastructure and trying to implement the code level in the cloud. Okay. My screen is visible to everyone, right? Is my PPT is visible? I don't see a response in chats. All right. So let's try to have some kind of a tools like DevOps on AWS Cloud. Okay. And what we're gonna do, we will try to see how we can try to deploy apps within the cloud environment with one. It should be CloudFormation. CloudFormation and the CodeDeploy. Okay. These were the services which are being offered by the AWS Cloud. So we're going to understand how it's going to be the purpose and how we're going to try to have them implemented within the cloud. All right. So first we're going to just try to understand and the overview on the CloudFormation. Okay. So we have a service called CloudFormation within the AWS. So this is a service. So what kind of a service? So it's kind of a infrastructure as a code. That means AWS CloudFormation, it is a service which is offered by the Amazon Web Services in the form of infrastructure as a code. So what is the benefit over here? For example, if developers who are trying to work on the code, okay, they had a set of a code like either in any other languages like a Python, JS, Ruby, .NET, or any other coding language, they have a set of coding files. So they just want to have the code, the application code they want to deploy within the cloud environment. So for that, they need an infrastructure, right? So to build the infrastructure, for example, you need these many servers, okay? And you need these servers to be load balanced. You want the servers under auto scaling. So such kind of infrastructure, it has to be deployed. So once my code is ready, I don't want to concentrate on the manual tasks, okay? I don't want to concentrate on the manual tasks to launch a servers and trying to have an infrastructure setup with an auto scaling and the network connection and the load balancer and trying to install some kind of a website, right? So I don't want to go in that fashion. So I just want to have a tool which should offer me an automation service which will enable users to model and manage the infrastructure resources in an automated and secure manner. Okay. Using the CloudFormation, what actually it's going to be helpful, developers can define and provision AWS infrastructure resources within JSON or YAML language. Okay. So we are trying to write a code in a template with the infrastructure as a code by having a JSON or YAML language, which are very simple. So which will try to offer us to deploy an infrastructure in the cloud environment. So earlier, you remember, we are trying to do launch the servers, the compute services. We try to create the storage. We are trying to create a load balancers. We are trying to create a network. Everything, earlier we used to do it manually, right? So CloudFormation is the one tool which will allow us to completely deploy the infrastructure in automation. Okay. So how does the CloudFormation works? So it actually provisions the services within the AWS cloud, like EC2 servers, S3 storage, auto scaling, security groups, networks, so that we can provision all the service automation with the help of a code, okay, rather than managing them manually. So how it is going to be helpful? What are the use cases? Like infrastructure provisioning. So it doesn't require to have an investment, no upfront investment. It will help us to lower the operational cost. So that means it doesn't need to be worried about spending the cost initial time. That means we can try to have complete control on trying to select the configuration. So this is highly scalable. It's highly scalable and easy access with the management console benefits. And it will try to maintain the upfront time, like reducing the business risk and maintaining the expenses. Okay. So what are the benefits out of it? For example, if automation, what kind of an automation? For example, it will try to avoid us to create the manual process. Like we can try to create, configure and maintain and manage the AWS resources. Okay. Which will be very quickly reliable and repeatable. It will try to avoid the repetitive work. Okay. It will try to avoid the repetitive work. So the consistency and the standardization is one of the benefit as well. With this, it is possible to create a standard template of infrastructure stacks. We can try to create an infrastructure stack. Okay. Example, I should have something. Let's see. So how it's going to benefit here, you can see what I'll try to do. I'll try to write the code from the scratch in a YAML or sample JSON language. And then I can try to upload that code directly to the Amazon S3 or from your local machine. Okay. And once you go to the CloudFormation, you will try to create a stack. Okay. It will automatically try to create a stack based on the settings that has been defined in this JSON or YAML language. And once the code is ready and it is being deployed, it will try to deploy and trying to configure all the resources for you. That means you can try to launch EC2 servers, you can try to create S3 storage buckets, you can try to have a network, you can try to have a load balancers. It will be trying to define everything. It will be launched under one module. So this combinations of all these resources are nothing but a stack. And then your infrastructure deployment will be ready within minutes. That's how it is going to be helpful. So it is possible to create a standard template of infrastructure tasks that can be used to create same copies. Okay, with the same code, you can try to create multiple stacks. Okay, so this ensures the consistency in the infrastructure deployment and make it easier to maintain as well. So how it is going to be benefit in terms of a cost? AWS CloudFormation helps us to reduce cost by allowing the customers to use existing infrastructure templates. And then the same template, you can try to reuse them across multiple environments. Okay. So every time you want to deploy some infrastructure, you shouldn't be worried about configuring all the settings from the scratch. So that means you can use the same template again to deploy the infrastructure. That's a benefit here. In that way, it is reducing the cost of designing and deploying a new infrastructure. That's how the benefit. And considering the security, it helps us to ensure that all AWS resources are configured securely by security policies and the rules. So, and thus, this is going to help us to protect the infrastructure from potential security threats. All right. And the last feature is nothing but a scalability. When considering about a scalability, so this kind of a service which will allow the clients or the users to quickly and easily scale the resources on demand. That means I have a 4 servers. If I try to apply some kind of an auto scaling settings, when the demand increases, when the traffic and the load is more, then automatically it will try to scale the resources and requirements. It will try to spin up a new servers and the new requirements and the new configurations. That means the customers can quickly and easily add resources to meet the changes. Okay, so that's how it is going to be helpful. So just imagine when you're trying to deploy an develop an application. Okay, when you want to manage all the backend infrastructure, that's really a time consuming and the challenging task. Correct. So it will be a difficult as well to develop the application when you're spending the whole time on manually configuring the servers, manually configuring the network, manually configuring the storage. That's a time consuming task and the challenging as well. So what if we have some kind of an automation tool, such kind of a service, which will be helping us to launch infrastructure in beforehand. Okay. See, simply you try to create a code like in the form of a template. You will try to load it in the S3 bucket, or you can try to save in the local from your system as well. And then AWS will try to build up a combinations of those resources in the form of a stack. So simply we just have to create a template based on the resources that we required. Then AWS CloudFormation will take care of managing all the provisionings of all the resources in the background, which we can try to monitor the progress as well in the front end. Okay, so that's how it is trying to helpful. So we have a different formats, how it looks like. For example, when you just try to see here, the JSON and YAML language will be looking into this format here. You can see the JSON and the YAML. So that means here we'll have a resource and the objects. Okay, the resource object contains a list of resource objects. That means you have to define, for example, resource hello bucket. This is a bucket name. What is the type of this bucket? It's nothing but an S3 bucket. So we are trying to define what is the resource. It is nothing but a product identifier, correct? And the resource type and the resource name. So the JSON language, it will be starting with an open quotation brackets and the closing brackets. And the YAML will be without the brackets. You can see this. It is just defined with the simpler lines. So we have a sample templates which are already provided by AWS Cloud. And also we will be able to develop our own template based on the strings and the format which has been defined in this YAML or JSON language. Okay, so we are calling this as an infrastructure as a code. That means we are trying to automate, complete, and trying to deploy the infrastructure with a piece of code that will be calling as a template we are trying to upload in the cloud environment. All right, so that's how it is going to be beneficial. So we will be creating a template and it will be trying to launch a complete package like a stack, okay, automatically in the background. So I'll just show you how it is going to be work out. And in the lab session, you can see this is a CloudFormation where it is available over the console here. You can see my screen, right? So I'll just show you the sample YAML, JSON or YAML file, how it looks like. Let me show you this. See, this is how the sample JSON file which will be looking in this format. Okay. So this has been in the format of JSON language. You can also try to write in the YAML. All right. So this is the code what we are trying to define here. And once this code is ready, we'll try to upload in the cloud and it will try to deploy the infrastructure. All right. So the first line you can see the template version, AWS template version, which has some specific date. Okay. Now the parameters we need to define, like what kind of a resources, resource type, and what are the names. You can see I'm trying to define as instance type. If I want to deploy some web server, okay. Now the default web server, which is already in t2.micro. If you want to select any other servers, the allowed values, I'm trying to define all the available instance types here, like m3.large, c4x large. These are the instance types which are there. So whatever the values you are supplying here, it will be displayed in the console as well. Okay, first you need to define here. And the next will be key name, like a key pair, right? Whatever the key pair we have, it will try to choose. So it should give us a prompt name of an existing EC2 key pair to enable SSH access. That means I'll try to select the key pair, whatever it is available, which I've created in the beforehands, right? Must be the name of an existing EC2 key pair. Here comes the SSH location. As we know, by default, the SSH location is trying to allow as 0.0.0. If you want to specify any other specific IP address, you can try to do it here. That has been defined here. Okay. And here, architectures like, 64-bit, T2.smile, T2.micro and everything, the architectures has been defined here. And the resources like the network. If I want to launch that particular server under specific network, it has been given AWS EC2 VPC, and you can try to have some network selection, whatever you want to define here. If you have a different network that you can try to configure here, it will be displayed. And there is an option called to select the subnet, internet gateway, attaching the gateway, the routable information, it has been defined here. And the subnet associations, ACLs, inbound traffics, like inbound rules and the outbound rules, right? You can see by default it is allowing the 0.0.0. And these are, all the network settings, the outbound ACLs, outbound network connectivity, the IP address. You can see the IP address, what it has been given. Elastic attach the IP address as well. And the security group. You are trying to define the security group. If you want to need an access to that Linux server, enable SSH access via the port 22. I'm defining in the code here. So this is the one. And once the server is launched, inside the server, if I want to execute the Linux commands to install some sample applications, I'm trying to have some commands here. You can see yum command, http command. These will try to install the packages for deployment of a website, for example, sample application. Okay. When you try to install that, automatically it will try to give you an output as congratulations, you have successfully launched the AWS CloudFormation sample. It will try to deploy a website with the help of this particular network and the configuration inside the Linux T2.micro. Okay. This has been defined here. And these are the properties of that particular web page to be displayed. So the properties and the association of that particular information and the network related. And this one and the outputs. Once the configuration is done, this is the output finally I'm getting. What kind of an output? I'll get a server which is launched, and I can try to see the public IP address so that I can give it to the users to have the access to the website. So I'll get a description as newly created application URL. So it had these many lines, and it is kind of a piece of code I'm trying to write in this JSON or YAML language, which will try to deploy the infrastructure in the background. Okay. So what are the charges? When it comes to the charges, it doesn't try to charge you for the code, but whatever the resources, those are deployed in the background with the help of this code, it will try to give you charges. You're understanding, right? So this kind of a code we're going to implement over here with the infrastructure, and we will try to build a stack to deploy some sample application. Okay. So that's how it is going to be helpful, the CloudFormation concept. Are we getting it? Understanding? Are we understanding the theoretical explanation so that we can try to see if how it is going to be work out in the practical? Under the free tier, whatever the free tier limitation you had, for example, your EC2 had a limitation of 750 hours. With the help of this CloudFormation, if you launch a servers, if they are trying to exhaust 750 hours, then it will be chargeable. Until then, it will be free. But the public IP address is chargeable. It is not free, right? So that we need to make sure. You need to have the calculation of the free tier resources. Whatever the resources which are launched under this CloudFormation template, then only it will be chargeable. It doesn't require any software. You just trying to simply upload the code in a JSON or YAML language, whatever the format which has been given. You need to upload from your local system or any S3. You need to upload over here directly into this console. It will try to deploy the infrastructure in the background. It will automatically launch all the resources in the background, which we're going to see in the lab session now. Any other doubts? I see some doubts in the chat. Any other doubts? So what we're going to do, we'll try to create a stack here with a sample template. Okay. I'm trying to click on create. Every stack is based on a template. A template is a JSON or a YAML file that contains all the configuration about AWS resources you want to include the stack. Okay. Okay. So you should have a template is ready. You should have either a template is ready, or you can use a sample template, or you can try to create a template. Okay. So if you have a template ready, that you can try to upload from your local system or an Amazon S3. Okay. So I can try to upload this template as well. For example, if I want to create a sample template, okay. Sample templates here. For example, I'm trying to use a sample template here, okay. So what that is, it is trying to deploy some kind of a blog website with a local SQL storage, like a database storage, okay. You can see when I'm trying to select that, this has been temporarily uploading the template in the S3, right? And I'm trying to open in S3 bucket. Let's see. I'll just copy this URL. I'll just try to open this. See, this is a template, which is a sample template, which is we are trying to create a stack over here, right? So what does it template here? You can see this. AWS CloudFormation. It is a web software that you can to create a beautiful website or a blog. It is a software to create a beautiful website or the blog. This template install the WordPress tool, this application blog with a local SQL database for storage. Okay. So for that, whatever the resources are needed, that it's automatically it is trying to create in the background, which will try to deploy a sample website for us. All right. It has a required supported servers and the database creation, and it will try to create an SQL database and the username and the password. Everything will be in ready. You can see this. It will be ready. So the backend resources will be deployed automatically. This is the template which we have, right? So it is automatically trying to pull from S3 storage that we have a sample template here. That's what we are going to select. So I'm trying to click on this and click on next. Let me go back here one step. If I try to click on this view and designer, so what all the things it is trying to create? It is going to create a web security group and the web server, right? Let's see this. This is a designer actually, where you can try to see what kind of a resources it is trying to deploy. I'm trying to click on next. I'll give a name. Full demo. Blog website. For example, I'm trying to define with this. And here it is asking to configure the DB resources, like what the database you want to give. Like it is trying to use a by default SQL, okay? SQL storage. So you can try to give a name here and you need to configure the password. I'm also trying to give a password here. I'm giving as admin username. So here you can see the instance type. Why it is giving is a pop-up here instance type, because in this cloud formation template, you can see instance type selection. Okay. So by default, it is selecting the T2 small. As you can see, the default is int2.small. So what are the allowed values under the drop down? It has a different instances. Why these are all coming up? Because it has been defined in the code here, right? So you can select any instances based on this code. So I can try to select here as t2.micro. That is a free tier. And next step is a key name. Even the key name section, what actually it is given as, you can see name of existing key pair, or else you can try to have a name of existing key pair or create a new one. So I think it should have an existing key pair. I already have that one. It doesn't have an option to create because the same option it is given here must be the name of existing key pair. Okay. And the SSH location by default it is 0.0. If you want to have it modified, you can try to have it enabled with the different allowed IP addresses. You can see the SSH location, the IP address range that can be used to SSH to EC instances. So I'm selecting the EC2 0.0.0 and next. Okay. And stack failure. If you want to have any issues with the stack during the deployment, it will try to roll back all the settings. Or if you want to preserve some successful settings, you can try to click on that. I'm just clicking on rollback all stack resources if there is an issue during the failure. I'll keep the use deletion policy and I just go with the default settings. Let's click on next. I've selected stack. I've just supplied the DB related settings for that particular website to work. I'll just go with the submit. Okay. Let's wait for it to be launched. It takes time. Let's wait. I think it got. Let me check. So I see the stack creation is completed. You can see this. And you can see in the events, there are different events that has been progressed. That means sample demo website initiated. This is a section where it will try to show you the sequential step-by-step progress. It is trying to create a web security group. It is trying to create a web server, and then it will try to deploy the website inside the server. Okay. Under the resources, you will see what other things has been deployed, like a web server and the web security group. That's what it is mentioned in the code as well, right? If I go to the outputs, what I'll get it? I'll get a website URL. See in the outputs, the website URL. So whatever the website has been deployed, it will try to generate me the website URL. Okay. So let me check the outputs here. If I try to open this in a new console, see automatically a new server got launched. It should launch a t2.micro Linux server in the background. See, this is the server which has been launched automatically. I did not create it manually, but it has been launched with a public IP as well. And what else it tried to create? It automatically created a security group. What is that? Web server security group. If I click on this, there is a default security group. It has been created. See, the ports has been enabled for port number 80 and the port number 22. It is trying to enable that as well. Correct? So this is how I can able to try to create that as well. So I'm just able to see a deployment of infrastructure in the background. So what I'll try to do, the output of this, it should generate some sample website block, right? I'll just try to open this website in the browser. Let's see if the application is deployed or not. See, I can see the web page. The blog website is deployed, for example, demo blog website. Can give any gmail.com. I'm just giving it. I'm just trying to install it. So my website is ready. I'll just try to log into this. I'm just trying to give some website, the username and the password. See, this is the sample website of the demo website which has been configured within the AWS cloud. So that means I did not do any configuration, right? I did not launch a server. I did not configure this website. Everything has been done automatically in the background. So we can try to, in this way we can try to deploy. So this is a sample blog website which will try to add the blocks, which will try to create a blog. Okay. See, example. This kind of a sample it is trying to show it. Okay, I'll just click on update. So these blocks can be posted in the public as well, so that others can actually able to access. Okay. I try to click on this web page. So this is how the web log page will be look like. I think you will also have an access because it has a public IP address, right? You can check, you can see this output because this blog has been deployed in this AWS infrastructure in the background in a Linux EC2 server. Are you people able to access this? So this is how I can try to automate the infrastructure and trying to deploy some sample demo websites as well. Okay. Okay. So I hope the concept is clear. You can try to use a different templates, or you can try to create your own templates, trying to modify the code with some kind of a HTML content here, the website what you would like to link it, and you can try to do in this way. That's how this CloudFormation is a service which is trying to helpful for the infrastructure to deploy in the form of a code. And also it will be helpful for the developers who want to run the servers automatic. Okay, the infrastructure it's in an automation way, right? So if it is ready, once I'm done with the project, if I try to delete this, then automatically all the resources, whatever it's launched, it will be automatically deleted as well. Okay, for example, I'm trying to click on delete. I'm just clicking on delete here. Deletion in progress. It will try to show the events about the deletion process, delete in progress. It will terminate the server. It will try to delete the security group as well. Let it wait to be deleted. So I think deletion is completed. If I just go to the instances, see the instance will be automatically terminated. It shouldn't have no more, right? And if you see any message like a warning, the template will try to use in load balancer, relational database, and other activities, right? So try to choose the templates based on the free tier. Okay. So if you try to choose any other templates which are irrelevant to the free tier, then it will be chargeable. For example, it is trying to launch a relational database and a load balancer. So relational database means you have a free tier, right? So after the free tier limitation, till the free tier limitation, you will be able to use that service. After limitation is crossed, then you will be billed. Okay, you need to make sure. All right. So I think this also got deleted, and my resources got deleted. Everything will be done. See the deletion complete. This is how the CloudFormation will work on. Was the concept clear to everyone? Was it clear with the CloudFormation? So you can have a different templates. You can try to practice as well. So if I just try to go and search CloudFormation templates, you will have a simple templates that you can try to practice as well, which will try to help you in gaining the knowledge. Okay. See, these are the sample templates which will try to help you in based on the services, which will try to help you on trying to have the automation. All right. This will try to help you out. The information about how this YAML and the templates and it can be written, everything will be there here. Okay. I'll just ping you the thing, link in the Zoom chat. And with the help of this template, so what we're gonna do, we will try to work on the code deploy. That means we will be trying to deploy some code inside the cloud environment, and then it will, whatever the existing application which has been deployed, for example, with the CloudFormation, I want to spin up a new code. Okay. So I don't want to completely concentrate on redeploying the infrastructure, and also I want to modify the code. So I just simply, the code has to be continuous integration. That means I want to have a new code quickly replacing the existing code that is with the other code which is already in place. For example, with the help of a CloudFormation. Okay. I already have a sample template, right, with a website here, demo. So what I would like to do in the future, I just, submit this output to the client. Okay. And what happened? The client is coming back again. Okay, I need a different modifications into these versions. I want to redeploy the code. I want a different web page. So what you want to do, you don't need to worry about go back to the developer, trying to rewrite the code and trying to update the code and trying to spend time on infrastructure and working on the code level. During that kind of a situations, to improve the business continuity, trying to save the time. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have the kind of a service called CodeDeploy. So with this help of this, the console what is trying to provide, it will help us to redeploy the code by replacing the existing code. Okay, that kind of a service we're gonna work on now. All right, we just need to understand and we'll try to work on now. Okay, let's see. So what we're gonna do here, we'll try to understand what is a code deploy. Okay. So we have a different continuous delivery tools. In that way, how it is going to be helpful to continue the existing integrations rather than disturbing the old code and trying to save the time. It will try to replace the existing code and trying to give us a new build. Okay, that we're going to learn out here, how it is going to be helpful. Okay, so these are nothing but AWS continuous delivery tools. So coming to the code deploy, here in this module, we will just try to focus on getting started with this kind of a pipeline, delivery pipeline concept with a minimal effort and the low cost solution. Okay, so with this how it is going to help you to regularly deliver applications updates to the various environments quickly and easily. So in this module, we will be trying to see how we will be able to achieve that. All right. So how we can try to install it and what are the prerequisites that we're going to have, what are the benefits, everything we're going to do it. All right. So let's see this. We have a different tools that is nothing but a code deploy, code build, and the code pipeline. So these are nothing but a continuous delivery applications which are actually available. So we will try to understand on one of the tool like a code deploy how it is going to be beneficial. All right. So so the continuous delivery is a critical component of this kind of a DevOps technology. So what is continuous delivery and what are the benefits we just try to understand. So continuous delivery is enabled by automating the deployment process. So once we have a deployment process automation, we can deploy in a repeatable and a safer manner. So in that way, this will try to allow us for a small change sets to be deployed and also more frequent deployments. So we have a different teams that really work on continuous delivery and can be found deploying the production environment multiple times per day. So if you want to deploy in such way the same code, what happened? This allows for the faster feedback loops and easier troubleshooting of the problems and the bugs. Okay. So these kind of a tighter feedback loops enable the teams and the clients to learn faster about the impact of the challenges, and also it will helpful for us to react more quickly to side effects, and it also trying to helpful in releasing the product to the market, whatever the application which is ready. Okay. So what actually finally the goal of this continuous delivery tools usually enable the users and the clients to deliver more value to their customers. Okay. So show it. So when we just look at the benefits of code deploy, okay, we will try to understand what are the benefits. We have a different benefits that we have trying to tell. We will definitely is going to save the time, right? That is already in thing which we're gonna see, because we don't need to worry about going from initial level and trying to redeploy the code and trying to have our time completely invested over that. Okay, that's one kind of a huge benefit that we're going to achieve out of this. Like we have seen the example for the CloudFormation as well. And another being, it will offer a deployment automation so that we can have an automatic delivery. So that will try to deploy the coding, rebuild of the coding and trying to deliver to the customer as well. So it is a fully managed serverless service. Okay. And there are no servers that needed to run and deployment server upgrades in the background. So that also, we shouldn't be worried about, as we have a technologies like CloudFormation as well, because AWS will be completely taking care of that. So using completely free instead of AWS, it will also trying to do that. So if you're deploying Amazon EC2 or any other services like a Lambda or any other CloudFormation kind of a tools, you won't be charged for the use of code deploy itself. Okay. you will be charged for only the resources that is going to be deployed. All right, that is one kind of a thing. And another benefit of the cloud deploy is nothing but it centralizes the control of your deployments via the code deployment console. That means the AWS console, it provides visibility of all the deployments and the events, which will allow the teams or the clients to quickly see what environment is running with each revision that has been deployed to. Such kind of a benefits we can try to observe as well. Okay. So we also can be able to provision IAM with, which will try to, IAM is nothing but identity and access management, right? So that you can try to grant, for the access to the code deploy applications, like developers, operators, QA team, management team, anyone else. Okay, whoever wants to access such kind of a tool, I mean this service, whoever wants to see the revisions and the deployment, we can try to give them access with the IAM policies. So code deploy is completely versatile. Okay, it is an operating system and runtime software. So it is kind of a software which runs on both Linux and Windows operating systems as well. All right, which will allow users for many different use cases for a variety wide of a task. Okay, so it also be configured or integrated with other systems and can be with an existing pipelines like a CI systems and other tools that we are already having a knowledge on. We can try to integrate with as well. We have a different components that we're going to see as well. What are those components? We'll try to understand. Okay. So the concept should be. So we have seen these are the benefits that is going to be helpful, like a learn and react quicker, automatic deploys, repeatable and safer, smaller change sizes, deploy more frequently, and the parallel upgrades, faster feedback loops. These are kind of a benefits we can trying to see this, which is trying to deliver more value when we are trying to have an end product given in the timely manner to the customers as well. Okay. So automate your deployments, that is done, and fully manage serverless service. Of course, it doesn't need any servers because it's kind of a software service which is being offered by the cloud, which we can try to use it. It is free within the AWS, $0.02 per on-premise instance update. So it is trying to know these are the charges, how it is trying to help us, give us an idea, as it's a versatile. When coming to the code deploy components, okay, what are the code deployment components? So here you can see the application. This is the core component. The application is the core building block of AWS code deploy applications. So we can't do anything else with the code deploy until you create a definite application. Okay. And the next is a deployment group. What is a deployment group? A deployment group, it is the next component of the service that we are trying to configure inside these applications. Okay, basically this is a target for your deployment. Okay, that means whatever the target we are trying to create and to the specific environment to deploy onto, it's common to the name a deployment group after the environment that it represents, such as staging, production, or UAT and the testing. Okay, and coming to the deployment, once my code is ready, once I try to create a group, I'm ready to the deployment of the code. So what is a deployment? Deployment is a process, or it's kind of a model, strategy model. It's kind of a result attempting to roll out an application revision into a specific deployment group. All right. So each deployment, it will have a unique identifier, and it is associated with just one particular revision and just one deployment group. All right. You can see a unique identifier and the which is a unique inside identifier that is inside it's an AWS account, and you can try to choose what kind of a platform you want to deploy, EC2 or on-premise, or a Lambda. It's a software which is available as well, or container services. Which platform you want to use, that you can try to use it as well. Okay. So these are the deployment groups. So as we have seen, the deployment groups which define the targets for your deployment. Okay. So that means whenever you configure a in place deployment, so it is trying to have the deployment in which platform, like a EC2 server or on-premise server, physical server, and what kind of a function you want to use. Like a Lambda is a service which will try to create a functions. Okay. And once your code is ready and your deployment is ready, and you can try to deploy complete code into some kind of a infrastructure, for example, a load balancer, so that it will try to handle the load of the application into a different servers. Okay. It's that kind of a concept as well. Just a moment. So here we have a different deployment groups where we can see here. It's nothing but a deployment groups we try to deploy here. We'll try to define the targets, and we have a different deployment types like a in-place deployment and blue-green. Okay. Just a moment. So in-place deployment type, it's nothing but the deployment will be taking at once. Blue-green type of a deployment which will trying to have a parallel environments, trying to have a deployment happening. Okay. So we have a deployment configurations at one at a time, multiple deployments at a time, and we have a revision module as well. Okay. These are kind of a code deployment options that you're going trying to see here. So now the code deploy pipeline, what actually happens here? Let me try to show that. There should be another slide. Okay. So once the deployment configuration is fixed, we have a last one as the revision option. So the revision is nothing but it's a part of the deployment definitions. Okay. So what actually happens, the revision, it defines what version of the application will be rolled out as part of the deployment. Okay. And you can see, you can try to have the deployment or the code that can be imported from the GitHub tools or from the S3 as well. All right. So either you can try to have a revision, either can be from the GitHub repository if you have a code that has a, the package which is already in place or the stored through a commit ID, or any the zip file that has been stored inside the S3 bucket. So the revision defines the app version to use in a deployment. So a revision of a Lambda code deploy application, it's there is a service with the help of a Lambda, where from there also we can try to have the code that can be input. Okay. From the Lambda as well, we can try to have that particular code files that can be pulled up. So AppSec file. So what is AppSec file? It defines the revision and includes the function names, the alias name, and the Lambda function version informations. So everything. So that kind of a details, this AppSec file will be there. So I'll just try to show you. I have a sample package which we can try to import, and we have an AppSec file that will try to show you, give us information about the function name and the alias name, which we'll try to deploy as well directly over the lab sessions. Okay. Let's see the components. This is about the AppSec YAML, which will be written in the YAML actually. So this will try to define and the information about the particular revision information, like a function name and the alias name and the versions and all the details. Okay. So the AppSec file is a YAML formatted file that is named appsec.yaml. So it should be the file which should be present at the root of a revision. Okay. So this AppSec file should be present at the root directories. All right. So what I'll try to do, I'll try to have a deployment of a sample code, how it looks like, and show you how it's going to be work out. So first, during this particular project lab session, what we're gonna do, I'll try to create a permission. Okay. For these services during the deployment process, I want to import the code from S3, right? So what I'll try to do, I'll try to create a role to have a communication from S3 bucket to the code deploy service. All right. So that I'll have a communication enabled. Then I'll try to pull the code from the S3 bucket, or you can try to pull the code from GitHub. Anywhere from you can try to pull out. All right. And then I'll try to use a CloudFormation template to install some specific infrastructure, which will try to create a sample website. And then that website has to run under a elastic load balancer into the multiple servers. So this kind of a setup, we will try to deploy, and we'll try to have the changes in that particular code, and we'll try to use the code. We will try to use this particular code deploy service to redeploy the build, and we'll try to see how quick the faster deployment is going on. Okay, that's kind of an activities we are going to see here. Okay, so we will try to create a code deploy service role. We'll create an application. We will create a deployment group and then run a deployment goal. Okay, that's what we are going to do here. So we'll go step-by-step approach how it is going to be done, and the required files like AppSec file and the coding package, everything I had at my computer. So I'll just try to deploy and I'll show you. Okay. So we will try to connect all the pieces together. We will try to see how this is going to be configured inside the cloud environment. Let me try to first go and try. I'll just try to close this. Should we go okay? So first what we're gonna do, first step is create an IAM role to have a permission setup between EC2, S3 and code deploy software. Okay, this is my first step. So for that reason, what I'll try to do, I'll go back to the IAM. I'll just go to the role section. I'll just try to create a role. Okay. So I'm trying to choose a role that should be associated with EC2 service. Okay. Because I need to launch a sample server, right? So I'll try to create a server now first. I'll select the EC2 as a source. Here, I'll just try to give a permission for the code deploy. Okay, AWS CodeDeploy. Yeah, Amazon EC2 role for AWS CodeDeploy. I'm selecting this, and I'll select to. So it should be fine. I've selected one permission. So what kind of a permission it had? Assume allow, right? Let me try to add one more permission. Just a moment. S3. Let me give S3 full access as well. What should have? It should have allow access to all. I'll just give this as well, just for a safer side, because it has to take the information as well, right? From the S3. So I'm given EC2 role for AWS CodeDeploy and also Amazon S3 full access. Okay, let me create. I'll give it a name. The role name, I'll just try to have it as code deploy. EC2 S3 role. Okay. I'm just trying to create a role. Code deploy -EC2 S3 role. Let's see. So this is the role I just try to create. This is the one, right? Yeah, let me try to save it. Mm, Okay, let me add. I'll add one more permission. Just, it doesn't give me any access denied issues. Code deploy. Yeah, this one. AWS Code Deploy full access. Okay, I'm just giving that as well. Add permissions for this role. Now my next step is to create a server. Launch a Red Hat server and execute commands to install Code Deploy software. Okay. So let's go back to the EC2 here. I'll click on launch. Code Deploy Red Hat's server. Okay. I'll choose one Red Hat server for this installation. And here I'll just go with a free tier. See, there is a Red Hat Enterprise version, right? I'm selecting this only. Okay. Let me go there. Now here I'll select the default key pair which I'm having. I launch under the security group with the Linux, which will have an access to SSH port and HTTP. And when you come to the advanced details, I'll submit, supply the pre-configured script. Before that, I'll have to select, I have created a role, right? The role is nothing but the permissions, which is has to download the modules, right? I've just, uh, select the role here. Okay. When during the launch, there should be an IAM instance profile. See, there should be code deploy EC2 S3 role. This is what I've tried to deploy, right? I'm selecting this. Okay. Code deploy EC2 S3 role, which I've tried to give a permissions for the services, right? I'm selecting the role and then I'll come back to the advanced details. In the user data script, I'll try to submit the code. Okay. So the code should be the one which I'm trying to install some up, the CloudFormation, not CloudFormation actually. It will try to deploy the code deploy software. It will try to download the code deploy software beforehand. I should have a code. Let me try to search that as well. The script should be in this form. Okay. So it will try to install the Ruby, which has to be support, for this module. It will try to install the Ruby software and then it will try to install the required code deploy modules. All right. Whatever it is available. And then it'll try to give the permissions and it will try to go at. So I'm trying to supply the installation script. Like, this is a user data script, which will try to reinstall everything beforehand, during the launch of a server. I'm trying to submit these details. I'm clicking on launch. Let me try to do this. So my server should be up with the codes information. Let's just wait for it to be launched. It takes time. So it's running and let it get initialized. Checks passed. Let me try to connect if I'm able to connect this. I'll just go and connect. I'll just connect from external SSH tool. Let's see. Private key, click on OK. So I am able to connect this Red Hat server. Okay. So I'll just go with. So I'll just check the status of code deploy agent service, which is in running state or not. System CTL status. Code deploy F1 agent. So I can see the service is in active running state. Okay. So this code deploy agent has been successfully done. Now what I'm gonna do, I'll try to launch a CloudFormation template so that it will try to deploy a sample code application which is running state. Okay. So what happens the next time? Once it is trying to show me an output, I want to quickly change the deployment revision. That means I want to have a quick changes. So for that, what I'll try to do, I use the code deploy software, the service inside this AWS console to have a quick revision of the existing code and I want to upload with a new code. So that kind of an activity we're going to do. Okay. So next step is to launch a sample website demo. Okay. So what it will try to launch? Template will launch EC2 servers, auto scaling and load balancer. Okay. in a Linux server. All right, these are all the things which will be launched at the resources. I already have a pre-configured template, so I'll just try to launch it here first. CloudFormation. I'll try to click on create stack. Okay, and then my template is ready. So I'll just upload the template here now. So the template should looks like this way. I'll show you. So what actually it is trying to create, this CloudFormation template creates a elastic load balancer, auto scaling group, EC2 instances with HTTP sample website, and the code deploying agent install. That is the YAML template which is in place. I'm trying to click here. So I'll upload a template file from my computer, which is already in place. I'll just upload here. So this is a template. Okay. Now I'll try to click on next. I'll give it a name. Deploy stack. How many servers I need, instance count, the number of EC2 instances to launch, 2 or 3 or whatever you would like to wish. I just gave as a 2 for a load balanced. Okay. And I'm selecting T2.micro with a key pair, which is already AWS key, which I already have in this region. So must contain only in deploy, right? That's fine. I'll just go with the default policy information. I'll click on next. I'm acknowledging. Click on submit. See, the creation is in progress. It should launch a infrastructure for us. Let's wait for the deployment of infrastructure for us. And we have to see an output of some kind of a sample deployment of a web page. Once that is there, I want to have a quick changes on this deployment. I want to apply a new deployment. Then what I'll try to do, I use a code deploy to have a revision of my this code. I want to have a new content. Okay, that has to be very quick and faster. So we'll do that in the next step once this is done. So still there are some resources which are in progress. It has to be completed. Status is created complete. Now the creation is complete, we can see. And so if you just go to the resources, what all the resources it launched? It created EC2 security group, created auto scaling, load balancer, IAM role, and auto scaling group. So let me try and check the outputs. So let me try to see, go to the EC2 server. See, it will automatically launch 2 servers here, right? I can see 2 servers are launched. This is one server and the second one is the third server. So inside these servers, the code deployment software it will be installed, and also the application will get installed above the sample. So these 2 servers will be under the load balancer. Okay. If you go to the load balancer, these servers will be under the load balancer. Okay. And also it created auto scaling. Whenever there is a need based on the load, it will try to increase the servers in the background. See, the auto scaling group has created with the 2 servers now. In the future, if it is required, it will try to expand. If it is want to decrease, it will try to decrease. So the minimum server is 1, the maximum servers are 10. And if I go to the load balancer, the servers are actually taking the load of that particular website. See, I'll go to the details. There is a DNS name. If I just copy and open this over the internet, it should show me a sample website deployed. Okay. It should give me an output. So this is an output for this particular deployment. So here, what I would like to do, I had a requirement where the client is not satisfied. They want to redeploy the code so that they want to have a different output. Okay. So they want to have a different output. So rather than changing the complete deployment process, what I would like to do, I want to have this kind of a redeployment revision with a new set of information. So for that, what I'll try to do, I'll go to the code deploy soft application here. It will try to automate the code deployments. Okay, I'll just try to create deployment groups, whatever we tried to discuss before. I'll just try to create a code deployment. No results. Get started. I'll just try to create a deploy. Okay, let's see. I'll try to create an application. So the application name I'll just try to create as code deploy demo. So I'll try to choose the application under EC2 itself. I'll click on create application. Once the deployment application is created, I want to create a group which will try to assign the resources inside this. Okay. I want to give a deployment group as a staging, for example, like a staging UT or development phase or something like that, right? I want to give it as a staging or development. Staging environment. See, there are 2 types of a deployments, as I told you. Updates the instance in the deployment group with the latest application revisions. During a deployment, each instance will briefly take offline for its update. That means it's a one time in place. Blue-green means it replaces the instance in the deployment group with the new instances and deploy the latest application revision into them. After instances in the the parallel version, it got registered. Then the instances from original are re-registered and terminated. So there are A and B deployments. So when this deployment is going to happen, so it will try to go in the parallel on the both. Okay. When the B is completed, then the A will be terminated. So it's a blue-green deployment. So I'll just go with a normal one. We don't have that requirement as well. It is asking environment configurations under which auto scaling group you want to configure. As we have already created auto scaling group, right? With the CloudFormation template, I'm clicking on this. I'll select this and enable load balancer. I will choose the classic load balancer because we already have deployed with the help of a CloudFormation here, right? There is a load balancer created. I'll select that here as well. Code deploy operation. Okay, this should be done. The service role, I think we have already created, right? Code deploy EC2 service role. I'll just try to click on this. I'll click on create deployment group. My deployment has been created. Now I have to create a deployment. Okay, I just try to create a group here. Which code you want to upload here during the staging environment? You had a code that is set up, you want to have that implemented under this load balancer URL. Okay, so either you can try to import from the Amazon S3 bucket, or you can try to import from the GitHub. For the GitHub, you need to click on and go and try to register here. For example, if I try to click on, I already have an existing GitHub account. GitHub is something which you can try to store the code. Okay, we will discuss on the next one. GitHub, where you can try to input all the package code application files inside the GitHub and try to import as well. Okay, here you can try to import as well. From this GitHub, if you have a code that is set up is ready, you can try to have it that from here. The code that can try to put and try to upload from here as well. You can connect the GitHub account. If you have a file in an Amazon S3 bucket, you can try to upload the zip file. So I should have a S3 actually zip file. The code file I should have inside the S3 bucket. Let me check. Okay, I have a code here which should consist of all the requirement of that particular website deployment. Okay, there are set of files inside this particular zip file. Okay, for the code. So what I'll try to do, I'll just copy this as the read bucket, right? I'll just link that here. All right. Yeah, under this S3 bucket, I have a code file package which I have already deployed. Okay, so this should have the script, the appsec.yaml file and the script file which are required to run. So this is the thing which I already have. It's already, so I just want to show you. This is a YAML file which is already there, which should replace the code. Okay, so this kind of a I've just tried to zip this particular folder and try to upload through the S3 here. Now I just additional deployment behavior settings, I don't need that. Deploy a newer version of website. Okay, create deployment. So deployment is created. See, the installation application is in progress. If you come down, this deployment, it's going to affect the existing servers. That means this deployment is going to override in the existing settings. You can see there are already two servers which are running right through help of a CloudFormation, right? So inside the same servers, this deployment is going to override. See, this is trying to show all the events. These two servers which are being started, it will try to show the sequential events if you want to see. See, it will try to show the events on the information about the traffic, download bundle and application traffic and everything. It will try to show in a sequential form. So once this progress is done, then we will be able to see the newer content, what we are trying to see in the same URL, the content I want to have it changed, right? With a new set of a zip file, we will try to monitor that. Okay. So this is completed. I'll just click on refresh. Let's see. So my deployment has been completed. Now I'm, this original thing, right? The past website, what it is trying to give me this particular output page. Let me try to reload if the changes has been implemented. See, now earlier there was a single line. Now the new change of a code. That means AWS CodeDeploy has deployed the revision of the application with a new logo, with the new title and with new information. So in this way, this CodeDeploy will try to have a newer version of revisions without affecting the timeline and without trying to have initiation of the older deployment process. Everyone able to see my screen, right? If you try to load this, you will get an output as well. Earlier, I'm seeing a different output. Now this is a different output with the same URL. Okay. In this way, it is going to be helpful, the code deploy kind of a services. All right. So that's what we have discussed on benefits, the components, and the files which you try to upload, and the agent code deploy services what we try to install. We have other services like a code build as well. Code build and the code pipeline. All right. Just a minute. So that is how the session for today is on working on this automation services for the DevOps tools, which will be helpful. Okay. Mm. So we have other tools as I told. Code build, it's a fully managed build service which will try to provide elastic scaling options. Pay only for the build time used. It's a continuous, integration tool itself. It's a CLI and API driven applications. Define builds as a code and tightly knit AWS integrations and extensible. This is one kind of a code build software tool. And another one is code pipeline. So it's a code pipeline. It's nothing but a continuous delivery pipeline, and it's a continuous delivery tool as well. Okay. So it defines the entire release process. Software release process can be simple. It can also be complex, right? So we can have a different stages when you have a source control repository. So your code is built, your code is tested, your code is deployed in a non-production environment, your code is tested in production. So a manual approval might be required for validation. So, and you can have a stage where the final production deployment occurs. So there are also many more environments and many stages that are involved in pipelines, correct? With all these kind of a different stages, a code pipeline, it is one kind of a services. It will try to tie together all the disparate release systems. Okay. This control system, the build server, testing systems, and the deployment systems all get pulled together with the pipeline itself. So the pipeline flows code out of the production, and it will try to help to visualize the end-to-end process that are involved in development all the way out to the production. So these are kind of a different services as well, which you can try to and review and understand more on. AWS documentation as well. Okay. So Tuesday will be the last day of 25th will be the Christmas holiday, right? 26th will be the last session for this program, and we will try to wrap up in the other remaining services, and we will try to discuss if anything further is required. And the final testing is also the test will be conducted the last day, so just be available. So what I'll try to do, I'll just go and delete the code deployment now. Delete application, just deleting this. Now I'll go and try to delete the CloudFormation as well, right? I just try to have the deployment. These are various DevOps, automation tools, like for the developers who will try to work on that. I'll click on delete in progress. So I'll just go to the EC2 server. I have deployed one server. I'll delete that as well. Any doubts if you can ask? We have a 10 more minutes because since from last 2 days we are extending 30 minutes more as Christmas is a holiday. Tuesday will be the last session. Any doubts? Yes, of course, you can automate the production environment as well. Yeah. Yes, you have to write the test and it will be a set of questions. I'll just try to able to provide. The last day you'll be able to have to write it. And about the certification, admin team will be able to help you out with that. Deletion in progress. Any doubts? Got deleted, yes. Any doubts? You can ask in the Zoom chat if you need any help. Any doubts? I hope everyone are able to see, the step-by-step approach on cloud and the DevOps and how this get, automation, everything being on the cloud. I hope you are getting understanding, right? If you have a full-fledged practical working during the training, that will be really beneficial. Okay. Within the limited amount time, whatever I could able to help you out, I'm just trying to explain as well. Okay. I think, yeah, Chandana, we will be good to wind up.
Yeah, thank you, Bala. Guys, hope you enjoy the session. So, is there any queries for me? Please let me know in the chat box. Parvati is asking, I missed first 10 days classes due to my exam. Then how can I take the information for the test? You can see recording sessions. You can learn from there and attend the test. I hope your query got cleared. Swati, it's a surprise. Probably we are conducting on Tuesday.
Yeah,
26th is the last
Tuesday.
day.
Yeah, Tuesday at the end of the session. 26 would be the last, and Tuesday at the end of the session. After reviewing other module, we'll be during the completion. We'll be having a test.
Okay, then there is no more questions, it seems. We'll wind up the session and we'll meet on Tuesday. Okay, up to then, take care. Happy Christmas. Good night, everybody.